Yes, they've been ready to go from probably 1 o'clock this afternoon. Quite a wait. We're now at 10 to 3 local time because of not one but 2 red flags in the qualifying session for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, one of which was over an hour in duration to fix an Armco barrier. But by that point, the Ligiers had been called to the assembly area. So if you were tuned in to the Michelin Le Mans Cup qualifying, you may well have spotted that a number of drivers had actually got out of these cars and were soaking up the sun, wondering when on earth they would get to the track. Well, this is the race. This is the race that will determine the championship for the JS P4s. And it's really between 2 different cars. The number 1 of Theo Mercouris, who will start from pole position, and the Ian Aguilera car. Theo shares with Hayden Chance. Ian Aguilera is their championship rival, but Mikkel Pedersen will start from 2nd place. Well done to the 16-year-old of Denmark for putting the 2nd team Virage car on the front row. Then Ian Aguilera, who has to hope that he finishes, well, at least 2nd and ideally wins the race, and that the number 1 crew have a nightmare final run of the season. Pedro Moreno, Ico Segre, Ben Casely and Jamie Winslow come next ahead of Jody Vulo. Then it's Andre Vieira, the Portuguese racer for ASM Motorsport, Jacques Nicolet for M Racing, and then into the JS2Rs. The championship's already been decided to that number 29 car of David Cosenel, who starts, Julien Schell, who will take over at some point between the 27 and the 34-minute markers. But it's Paul Trajani who starts from pole position in his ANS Motorsport car. Normally, that is Clement Moreno's ride, but Clement not in the Ligiers this weekend, and that immediately, of course, takes him out of championship contention. Grego Bertocco starting 2nd in the JS2Rs, a car that was taken out of contention earlier on in the day when Matteo Pianazzola was doing the opening stint, but Pianazzola rather punted out of the way, rudely assaulted at turn 5, and that took the number 60 car well down the order. It's Johnny Palmer and Graham Goodwin then looking forward to this championship decider in the JS P4s.
Big gap between the lead 2 and the rest of the field here as they come down into formation for the start of this race. Ian Aguilera was almost a corner behind. Will be pulling into formation, I'm sure, very soon if you had a broader shot. But this is going to be a critical phase of this race. There is Aguilera, 18 points behind. The car directly in front of him here has to win this race.
Or the other scenario is, but I think even on countback that wouldn't work for Aguilera. But the other scenario we came up with was that the gap is currently 18 points. And if the 1 car didn't finish and the 77 finished 2nd, they would finish level. They would also be level on wins.
But you'd count back onto 2nd places.
2nd places, and I think
the one wins at that stage, because it's got 3 2nd places to 1 for Aguilera. Would be
well, he hasn't even got a 2nd place, but that in that scenario that I just gave you, that would be a 2nd place. They're so slow to the grid, it's almost as if we're going to do a standing start here, but that is not the case. Theo Mercouris now going to the correct side of the grid. You have to be through the grid hatchings, even at this reduced speed. And remember that the cars in behind the number 1 cannot be ahead of it as you get to the start and finish line, waiting for the red lights to go out. They do so now, and the final race of the season for the Ligier European Series bursts into life after a long, long wait. So thank you for your patience. Down the inside of Theo Mercouris, Ian Aguilera thought about a move. Mercouris is going to run wide, and even wider the other Virage car number 32 that's been started by Mikkel Pedersen. Now to the inside, Ian Aguilera is going to make this very, very interesting, because the 77 leads the race and is ahead of the number 1, its major championship rival.
Great stuff from Aguilera. Wouldn't have wanted to be him in the middle of 3 team Virage cars, but he toughed that one through. There's a little bit of elbows out, but great move into turn 3.
And he's retained the lead on the brakes as well. The one saving grace at this stage for the Mercouris and Chance duo is that 2nd place is absolutely fine. I wonder whether they discussed that. If Aguilera comes on the attack, then just let him by. A top 6 finish will be fine for the number 1 car. And the other thing, of course, is that as a solo silver driver, Aguilera has to spend 5 extra seconds in the pit stop. They're governed by minimum pit stop reference times. Unless we got a safety car, and that shakes things up again, just like earlier on in the day, because if everyone's emerging from a pit stop into a safety car, all those gaps close up anyway. Aguilera leading by 0.6 of a second over Theo Mercouris, who I think did the right thing there in not overly defending, not risking contact, and he has rear gunners now. Sadly, the man that they were trying to stop to get by has already slipped into the race lead.
Yep, that's excellently done, and cool head from Aguilera. He's pulling away, he's going to make this as tough as possible. He's going to try and draw Mercouris into a fight. But you're absolutely right, with 3 line astern Team Virage cars, there's a little bit of protection there for the championship leaders. So Aguilera from Mercouris, Mikkel Pedersen, Mikkel Garda Pedersen that is, Pedro Moreno, Iker Sigrid, Ben Casely for Nielsen Racing, James Winslow starts the Monza Garage 71 car, Jody Vullo, Andre Vieira, the top 9, the leading cars in JS P4 and JS2 R. It's NS Motorsport's Paul Giugiani from Marta Garcia, the unlucky race 1 this morning, losing a couple of laps in the gravel trap for Ryan Dames, and Les Deux Arbres, Noah De Cunha is sitting in 3rd place.
We've got a camera in the Virage camp, which I'm sure we'll catch a glimpse of in a moment, just monitoring the nerve levels. They don't look great as far as Hayden Chance is concerned and fellow runners within Team Virage. It's going to plan, though, at the moment. A 2nd place finish is absolutely fine. Anywhere within the top 6, it doesn't matter where Aguilera finishes, and they will win the title. Meanwhile, good fight between Sita Van Mert in the black and white car, number 86. Getting ahead of Louis Stern in the number 18 car. So that is the fight for 7th and 8th places in JS2R. And it's formation flying for Team Virage, as now Theo Mercouris has slipped behind the Mikkel Garda Pedersen car and is situated right in the middle of the 3 of the Virage machines. So heading out of the final corner, back across the start-finish line. Ian Aguilera, Mikkel Garda Pedersen, Theo Mercouris and Pedro Moreno are the top 4. Mercouris happy again to be sitting behind one of his teammates. The danger of being a little too close there is that your car can become hot and bothered in the warm air from a car in front, but it also takes a fair bit of aero off the front of your car as well. So dirty air is a thing, even in prototypes of this level, because they are so reliant on clean airflow across the front and indeed the whole of the car.
So Aguilera from Mikkel Pedersen now in 2nd place, the 32 ahead of Theo Mercouris. Is this going to be a conservative run for points? Is this going to be a push when the opportunity arises to grab the maximum amount of points? It's a finish to win the championship effectively in the points for the number 1 car. But they have to finish.
Well, they have to finish, and they have to finish in the top 6, because if Aguilera wins and they finish 7th, that's not enough points. So it'd be rare for them to, fall as far down as that. Is this part of the plan for Theo Mercouris to, in a sense, have a Team Virage force field around him at the moment? He's got protection from the front and the rear. But if either of those cars start to go at different speeds, they're not run by a different team, but they have different ways of financing, I suppose. So they're in this race solo entries, as well as wanting a good result for the number 1 car. So if all of a sudden Pedro Moreno spots an overtake, he's going to go for it on Theo Mercouris.
Well, for me, the tactic is going to be clear here. Mikkel Garda Pedersen, the young gun here in the 32 car, has gone through to 2nd place. He's going to be sent to chase down Ian Aguilera. He's going to be sent to chase and put under pressure the championship contender and try to take that pressure away from the number 1 car. That's the smart move.
Yeah, and again, these things will have been spoken about, I'm sure, before the race. They all have pit-to-car radio as well to keep the various drivers up to date with where they are respective to other cars, gaps, and also who they're up against as well when we get to the phase where driver changes are starting to commence. 27 minutes into the race is when you can legally head into the pits and do your mandatory pit stop, and you have to be in the pits by the point that the 34 minutes has elapsed, or 33, 9.999 if you like. So there's a 7-minute pit window in order to get into the pits. The pit stop can extend beyond that as long as you've already entered.
Yeah, Aguilera, by the way, got the hammer down here, tried to extend that gap. It was a fastest lap of the race last time around. He's a second clear of the young Dane. Worth mentioning, by the way, as we watch these battles develop, that the ladder provided by this Ligier European Series, Johnny, continues to develop. We're going to be talking tomorrow about the attempt by Guillaume Henrion to put a third consecutive title on the board in the European Le Mans Series after last year taking the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and 2 years ago winning here in the Ligier European Series. Next year, we can tell you that in the JS P4 class of the Ligier European Series, there's going to be another new name. Romain Berkler will join, driving a JS P4. It's part of Ligier's junior development program. They developed in Europe and the US, and the prize award for winning JS Cup France Junior Championship is that they are given a P4 for the season. That is some prize.
It's massive, isn't it? And a huge step then to the springboard to future endurance races. If you can get some momentum, and therefore you can get sponsors interested because they know they're going to get plenty of coverage on the TV if you're a front runner, then that is an opportunity that so many do not get, even though they might have the talent to carry it off. You sometimes need the stars to align in order for you to get a career that might be several decades. Ian Aguilera is not really getting away from Mikkel Pedersen currently.
No.
Pedersen helping to bring Theo Mercouris back. Cars can be set up, of course, to be strong at the start of a race, at the end of a race, maybe sometimes in the middle segment as well. So the key thing from Theo Mercouris, who started this race with a firm advantage in the championship together with his teammate Hayden Chance, was to stay relaxed and not get drawn into a battle that might distract him in the early stages. Bit of a lock-up for the 44 car of Andre Vieira, Portuguese racer. And he is the only driver in that car this weekend. So he'll come in, do a pit stop, but there'll be no driver change. And he'll also have to spend the longest time in the pit lane.
Meantime, Martha Garcia in the Iron Dames car. This car presented here by M Racing, Ivan Muller's family team. Is this another switch? This is the one car going back ahead into second place, and now Theo Mercouris is going to take up the baton to take the fight to Ian Aguilera. But to complete the point of Marta Garcia, she's been in second place and battling for the lead in JS2 R from the very start of the race.
And horrible luck earlier on in the day when a clash between the two Iron cars, Iron Dames and Iron Lynx by LR Motorsport, Luca Riccitelli's outfit. Whether that was a misjudgment or a full-blooded manoeuvre to try and overtake Marta Garcia at turn 8, but contact was made and she ended up spinning into the gravel. Now, though, gunning for the race lead, Garcia on the inside of Paul Trajani, and she does lead the race now. Trajani given very little space, or rather ran out of road. Now, though, down the inside, trying to repay the favour. A hip and shoulder check, but I think Trajani's just about within his rights to do that. Garcia's not going to give it. Oh, no! For the second race running, another bit of contact resulting in a spin for the Spaniard. And Garcia can rejoin because she didn't find the gravel on this occasion.
Joins in third place.
Is Trajani's car damaged after that, though? So she's dropped a position. I just wonder whether there's a slight camber angle on these wheels, and has that compromised the tyre on the rear left? We'll have to wait and see whether that develops into a bigger problem for Paul Trajani. Up until that point, great driving from Marta Garcia. Opportunistic, but she was there and very confident on the brakes in her car. Here's Theo Mercouris being released from Mikkel Pedersen. and will get the run this time on Ian Aguilera. So Aguilera was able to take the lead very early on. Mercurius driving around the outside. Hang on, Aguilera. Oh, that's the last thing they want, is contact and potential retirement. Mercurius stays in second position and crucially stays in the race.
Yeah, well, there was just a bit of a brush there, wasn't there? Drama still to come. We're only 10 minutes into this race, Johnny Palmer, and it might have been delayed by an hour or more, but we are being doled out yet another stunner.
Ian Aguilera, remember, kind of has different defining points in this race. It's going to be do or die to make sure that he wins, whereas the #1 car doesn't have to win. And this is where Theo Mercurius, as fast as he is this early on in his career, does he have the experience to know that second place should be, well, is fine, but it's so tempting when you get a very good run down the start-finish straight to pick off the race leader. However, it comes with risk. And that's the thing he's got to weigh up in his mind.
Marta Garcia grabs back the position she lost after the contact with the, well, was it the race leader or was she second at that moment? I think she was just second. Still a battle here for the overall lead. Battles at the moment for second place in JS2R. This is a stand-up race to be giving us a grandstand finish to the championship.
Formation flying once again from Team Virage. They're even in number order. 1 from 32 from 66. Was this all part of the plan for the Polish squad? Queuing up, ganging up almost on Ian Aguilera. And a penny for his thoughts at the moment, because the cavalry is coming and Mercurius will get a very good run again. So close to the rear of the 77 car. Has to tuck back into line. Has Mercurius gone for this overtake a little too early though now? But that's clever from the 32, preventing Aguilera from dive bombing Mercurius into the first corner. So this is, in a sense, some pre-arranged stuff along with the 32 and the 66, because now 2 more Virage cars get ahead of Ian Aguilera, and this has turned into a dream scenario for Team Virage and for Theo Mercurius and Hayden Chance.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it, the opportunity into and through turn 1 happens here way before turn 1 if you get the run down that amazing final turn correct, and he got it to a T, got the toe. That pass was done so early, and with those rear gunners you described earlier, Johnny Palmer, he had every opportunity to get some help, and now that gap is going to open up.
But I got to say, how well did Mikkel Pedersen read that situation? That was precisely where Ian Aguilera wanted to put his car. Contact side to side on the very fast part of the racetrack, the fastest, no doubt, between Cindy Goudet and Grego Bertocco in the Iron Lynx car. But yes, 32 thought, right, I'll work out where Aguilera wants to be to re-overtake Mercurius and just put my car there. And he was perfectly within his rights to do that. And Aguilera was boxed into a virage corner there, finds himself from the lead to 4th place in virtually 1 step.
Absolutely, once he was out of position and away from the line he wanted to take, it was all over. This, though, this was...
yes.
That was not good, I'm afraid, from Grego Bertocco. No need to do that. He was doing that to get the position he wanted, the line he wanted through turn 1, feeling there might be some decision from race control about that one. This time, Ian Aguilera attacks again, goes by the number 12 car. Was the contact, or was that just... couldn't put the car where he wanted to put it? The number 12 car goes around and will continue. Loses a place to Eco Seagray, waiting to see the number 12 car emerge. See this again. 32 car, my apologies, not the 12.
So it was Aguilera with a very good run on Mikkel Pedersen, and I think he caught the curb, actually. He was forced to tighten his line a little more than he wanted to. We're not getting mixed up at all about Hayden Chance's thoughts on that situation, because all of a sudden Ian Aguilera is 1 car closer to Hayden's teammate Theo Mercurius.
Tell you that 32 car has continued, albeit lost quite a lot of time to that spin and recovery. So it's going to take a while for the young Dane to get back into this fight. Meantime, that gives an opportunity for Ian Aguilera to attack Pedro Moreno again.
Yeah.
The contact we saw between Bertocco and Goudet on the main straight is indeed on a review, as it should be.
Well, they're back together again now, Graham, so let's hope that this is clean. But Bertocco's left side of his car is trailing some damage. This is too early for a pit stop for the number 18 car of Louis Stern. He had issues in the earlier race and wasn't able to finish. And sadly, Louis Stern, even though he came here to Portimao as a championship contender,
I think this is a drive-through.
Okay.
I think there was a drive-through for contact, and it's, I think, stretched the envelope a little bit, but I think that's what's going on. It was indeed a drive-through.
So not actually linked to the mechanical dramas for Louis Stern in the first race, bright and early this morning. Cindy Goudet's ahead of Grego Bertocco.
And Ian Aguilera, I can tell you, is up to second place again.
And within 2.7 seconds, that was a spin for the LR Motorsport number 81, being driven by Jody Vullo, being welcomed to the championship. Two new names to the 81 car, one debuting at Mugello, that was Manuel Quandancalo, silver-rated Italian, and another silver, Jody Vullo, with his first experience of the Ligier European Series.
So, gap to watch, 3.2 seconds through Sector 1, Mercurius to Aguilera. It is also track limits in Sector 1 for the chasing Mexican driver. Keep an eye on that one. 3 seconds of there or thereabouts is where we're at. And Marta Garcia, another one on a charge after a problem, and she's back with the leader again.
Yeah, well, this ended in a spin for Marta Garcia, but she won't be once bitten, twice shy. Rest assured of that. Trying to force the opportunity from Paul Trajani to the outside, now maybe to the inside. Big squirm. Was there even contact for Paul Trajani's car, or was it, I need to get over to the right-hand side very quickly, otherwise Marta Garcia is going to fill that gap. So driving in his mirrors to a certain extent, Paul Trajani.
Well, it's clear that the chasing driver's got pace. She's caught that car again. And everything about on the inside here. She's going to try to bully her way through. She does it. Dive bombed him to perfection there.
Well, Marta is faster than Paul Trajani. I think there's no doubt about that. And enjoying this part of the race. So this is the 85 car that she will remain on board, but so will Paul in the 31 car. He's also taking part in the Michelin Le Mans Cup this weekend, where he shares a car. But that was a terrific overtake. It's an awkward approach to turn 5 because it's downhill, and when you're on the inside, you've not got much space on the exit of the corner to use. But terrifically judged, and she's been faster into turns 1, 2 and 3, and now into turn 5. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Iron Dames by M Racing car building a fairly big gap now over the next few laps.
So 41 minutes remain. Battle here between the number 4 and the number 71. This is for 6th place between Ben Casely and James Winslow, two British drivers. Through come this battling pair for the lead in JS2R, but this time across the line for the first time ahead is going to be Marta Garcia.
And the next thing to look at is how long they're likely to spend in the pit lane. I think it's going to be the same for those JS2Rs. And now a bumping, boring ride for Grego Bertocco, who misjudged the final corner slightly there and ended up out on the curbs and almost into the gravel, being caught by, is that Sita Van Mert? It is, in the black or dark blue car, number 86. So Cindy Goudet, Bertocco for Iron Lynx, and the Le Douce Arb car, Sita Van Mert, as Bertocco shows the nose on the inside line.
Couldn't hold it, and that's going to allow Sita Van Mert to take both of them, is it? Bertocco, by the way, warning flag shown for that contact on the main straight. Do you think he's going to hold this to the apex and get through and take both cars? So Bertocco through and away, and he is up into 4th place.
But again, an excellent race this, up and down the order. Now Casely's in a whole host of trouble, struggling to hang on to the car at turn 1 and having a nice fight still with James Winslow. Winslow on the inside in the 71 car.
And he takes that place.
Yeah, he's trying to hold the inside line for turn 4, but couldn't quite do it. as Marta Garcia. Well, I suggested that once she'd taken the race lead, she might be able to build a gap, but Trajani's not allowing that to happen. So almost literally the 31 snapping at the rear bumper of the 85 car because of those gnashing teeth that Clement Moreno has made famous all through the course of the year. Paul Trajani now at the wheel of that car for the final event for ANS Motorsport.
Another bobble off the curbs there, Johnny. She goes to show, doesn't it, in both classes, these JS2R GT cars, the JS P4 prototypes, very raceable indeed.
Yeah, provided some terrific entertainment. The standout this year for me was that race at Spa, the second race of the weekend in Belgium. But this is running it close. Again, so much happening, and I suppose you've got the backdrop of the championship as well. Ian Aguilera, 2.8 seconds adrift of Theo Mercouris. But the key thing for Mercouris is that Aguilera can now have clear line of sight of the back of #1 car. They finish first and second, it's not a problem for the #1 crew. They would still take the title. And as mentioned, even if Aguilera gets to the sharp end again, he has led this race, then Mercouris and Hayden Chance could finish 6th and still seal the title. But that's certainly not the way they would want to do it. It's not good for the blood pressure.
So Team Virage's Theo Mercouris, that gap is coming down. It's 2.3 seconds now. Remember, it was 3.2. 38 minutes to go, and Ian Aguilera is looking to try to challenge the lead again as quickly as possible. He's 2.3 seconds down. It's then a further 2.2 to Pedro Moreno. Iko Segre still 4th, and Mikkel Gard Pedersen has not managed to catch the 4th place man after that spin just a few laps ago.
Just less than 5 minutes away from the pit stop window opening. When we get to 27 minutes into the race, that is the point where if you're close to the pit lane entry, you can dive in and do your stop. And you have to be aware of how long you need to be in the pit lane for. And that's not stationary at your garage, it's timed between pit in and pit out, where there are 2 solid white lines and timing loops, funnily enough. Now Grego Bertocco heading Sita Van Mert again. So Van Mert had been given the 2 cars around her a good run for her money. Cindy Goudet's in behind as well. So Van Mert is 5th in class, Goudet 6th. Then it's David Cosenel, the new championship winners for 2024 in JS2R. And Mercouris is... Oh no, that was the order, so it's okay. So I suddenly thought they were in the reverse order, but no, Aguilera still trying to hunt down the race leader. 2.3. Yeah,
he's closing. He's closing. He's pulled a second back since making his way by Pedro Moreno. Pedro Moreno is dropping back at a sort of equal rate from Ian Aguilera. So if there were tactics, and why shouldn't there be, in place, as that's Paul Trajani keeping it just about on the island, but dropping back now for Marta Garcia after a struggle through turn 5 there. If there was tactics in play for Team Virage, all of a sudden now, it's not that anymore, it's head-to-head.
Yeah. And the gap first to second is about that, second to third now. So Pedro Moreno, although helping in the early stages, is too distant to do that. At least one car off the road, possibly more. And
now this could be trouble.
If it ends up in the gravel and can't get out. So that was on the inside, Andre Vieira. And yes, Stern, the other car involved.
Up on the left-hand side.
And the 18 car in the gravel trap and probably can't get out of there.
This is going to be a safety car. This is going to be a safety car.
All of a sudden the complexion of the race might change. We're not yet at the pit stop window. We're 2 and a bit minutes away from that. So it's not a question of being able to get in and do your pit stop prior to the safety car being unleashed.
The reality there was a mighty gap up the inside. No way that the JS P4 was not going to take that. What's the gap this time? 2.1 seconds, and now in traffic as the JS P4s are catching the JS2Rs.
What's the message on the radio to Theo Mercouris? Are they saying safety car likely? Are they saying just take it easy into turn 3 because there's a car in the gravel trap. He'll be able to see it now.
But Ian Aguilera is going to want to clear that GT car. He's trying to do that right now before we get a safety car called. I think inevitably there must be.
Advise me if you can rejoin.
So race control asking whether that car can rejoin under their own power. If not, it's going to need assistance, and the rhythm of that in the Ligier European Series has been the safety car will be deployed.
No full course yellow option in the Ligier European Series, so it's safety car or nothing. Dealing with the snatch kind of around local yellows. There you go, confirmation.
Please, leader to slow down, safety car deployed.
And there goes the 3-second gap that Theo Mercurius had. It was about 2.3. It's going to fluctuate now as the message is slowly being sent out to the various drivers that they'll need to reduce the pace in a moment or two. But the safety car will wait for the race leader and emerge at the end of pit road. This is how it happened from the other angle. So Andre Vieira in the 44 car down the inside.
All other cars to close the gap, all other cars to close the gap.
That was all on Louis Stern, I'm afraid. Although in fairness, looking at it from that angle, the JS P4 was way off the apex there.
That's the thing, is that Stern was expecting the JS P4 to turn in much sooner than it did.
It didn't.
And it was like Vieira had overcooked the corner. And as Stern turns in, there's then a wall of JS P4 because I think that was a mistake from Vieira.
Collision at T3 is under review.
Doesn't help Louis Stern either way. If they say, oh, Louis, that wasn't your fault, he's still out of the race, sadly.
Would say, by the way, this is going to be very bad news indeed for Gregorio Bertocco in the 60 car, because he's behind the overall leader of pits now.
So this is now a race, in a sense, on pit road. I know that the pit stops are time governed, and this should be an advantage for the Mercurius and Chance car because they can spend 5 fewer seconds in pit lane.
There is one other factor here. Through the season, we've seen of the two drivers pretty well matched in the #1 car, but Theo Mercurius has been the quicker, and the timing of this safety car has meant they've pitted as early as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Which means that Hayden Chance is going to be in for longer than they probably planned.
True. But yeah, sometimes a situation like this, the strategy presents itself. The other option was to send the car around again, but how long is the safety car going to stay out for? And then you run the risk of one pit stop being done behind a safety car and the other one not. A conversation, and a quick one at that, being had between Theo and Hayden as they switch positions. You can do that because you know how long you're going to be in the pits stall for as recovery at turn 3 continues.
Now, who has the safety car picked up?
So it's 2 minutes and 22 seconds for car number 1 to be on pit road. It's 2 minutes and 27 seconds for the number 77 car of Ian Aguilera because he drives solo.
We don't have wave bar here, do we?
No.
So Bertocco is going to stay behind that safety car.
Well, has he pitted?
No. He's the first car behind.
Cars 18 and 44 under investigation.
But he won't stay behind the safety car for the restart because he will have already departed to come into pit lane.
He will come into pits next time around, I'm sure he will.
And then who's going to be being picked up? I mean, ultimately it should be whoever leaves the pit lane in this batch of cars. But I'm sure we'll have a scenario where the safety car is just going round on its own with nobody behind it.
Well, Eco Segre is behind Bertocco, behind the safety car. I think they're the only two. There's 3 cars there. The number 6 of Eco Segre is there. And we've got one JS2 R. That will be Bertocco. And another JS P4. That is the number 16 Pegasus racing car. Here they come. The 1 car is still ahead, but that's not 5 seconds. So they spent longer on pit lane again. So Hayden Chance comes out 2 minutes 24 seconds for that car.
2:24, that's okay.
Ian Aguilera 2:28.
Yeah.
Well, 2:23 for Geronimo Berrio.
2:28 was playing it sort of safely. They needed to do 2:27, so they've gone a second and maybe a bit longer. it was being played very safely by the #1 crew, who could have done a 2:22, but they've done a 2:24. So the reality gap is only 4 seconds rather than 5. And now here come the other cars that haven't yet pitted, including Eco Segre and Grego Bertocco.
Indeed.
And a glance into Marta Garcia's office space in her number 85 Iron Dames car.
So the only other factor here is getting out ahead of Ian Aguilera was the number 66 Team Virage car handed over from Pedro Perino to Geronimo Berrio. So that's going to be a further challenge for the Mexican driver, as the number 18 car is on the flatbed and about to leave the scene of its demise. Dreadful weekend, I'm afraid, for the 18, Louis Stern.
Yeah, when it promised a lot more than this. Came into the weekend third in the championship, and with Clement Moreno not here, that could easily have been second. But it's 2 DNFs as things shake out. Let's hope, though, that Louis Stern is keen for some more action, whether either in this Ligier European Series or elsewhere within the paddock. Eco Segre still on pit road, where he's going to have to spend a long time there as well. Another 2 minutes and 27 seconds for a silver-only or silver solo driver.
Yeah, but how is this going to pan out, having done so under the safety car's second lap? It worked for the 2 cars that did it last time. Well, they pitted early, didn't they? Because the timing of the safety car meant that they could pit immediately and everybody else had to do a lap on the safety car conditions.
Yeah, so they hadn't been picked up as the race leader by the safety car at that point, is that right?
They had not, correct.
Yeah.
It was just the safety car had been called and they can pit. Pits are open in the Ligier European Series under safety car conditions. So at the moment, scored in the lead now again, Hayden Chance, or rather for the first time Hayden Chance, but again for the number 1 car. Then Team Virage's number 66 in the hands of Geronimo Berrio. Ian Aguilera is now third. Chunting Joe is fourth in the number 71 car, and then Brendan McCorgan is fifth in the third of the Team Virage cars. Nielsen Racing's Ben Casey sixth. LR Motorsports, Manuel Conducarlo, the 81 car, that is 7th. ASM Motorsports Andre Vieira and Eco Segre, plus now Jacques Nicolet, they are the top 10. And what's going on at the exit of pits here?
It was an issue for the number 16 car, which stopped and then couldn't get going again. So Yuki Tanaka with a new front to that car, so it's been repaired after looking very second-hand at the end of proceedings earlier on in the day. But he stopped, and then the flag marshal at the end of pit road said, no, you can go, you don't need to stop here. But Eco Segre was the next car in behind, and there was a look to it as if Tanaka had stalled and Segre was too close to the back of the car to get the steering clearance to get ahead of it. Thankfully, Yuki did start to move again, and hopefully the time lost is not too crucial, because we're still on the safety car. And time may well be given by the race director just to allow those that have now made their pit stop in the second segment to catch up with the safety car before we get going again.
Yeah, the key thing from Eco Segre's point of view here is that he's behind Yuki Tanaka, who is laps down, or a lap down. And will Tanaka catch the safety car chain before these cars are released once again? Still on the safety car, 26 minutes to go on the safety car for recovery of the now retired number 18 Pegasus Racing JS2 R, Louis Stern. Championship leaders. Can we describe them as champions-elect at this point? Hayden Chance takes over from Tio Makuris. He leads the race from Geronimo Berrio and Ian Aguilera, the championship rival to the leading car. The sums are pretty simple, Johnny. Anywhere in the top 6 for the number 1 car, they take the championship. To win the championship, the 77 car has to win, and the 1 car to be lower than 6th.
Yes, is my reading of the situation, because a second place finish, if the number 1 car does not finish, is not good enough, because then it would go to count back, and although Aguilera would have more wins at that point, he wouldn't have the required second places. And I was explaining to Hayden Chance in the break between the two races that we've had a GTE championship decided in the past on, I think it was fourth place finishes.
It was four countbacks. Yeah.
4 countbacks, equal wins, equal second places, equal thirds. So then it was the number of fourth places between Proton and.
It was a Ferrari, wasn't it? It was one position difference.
Yeah.
That took the title.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure Hayden and his family knew that, and they said, "Oh no, don't tell us that as well." Reason I'm not sure we could deal with it.
So where is the overall race leader? There is the overall race leader, about 5th in this queue. This is going to be quite a restart. 24 minutes to go. We're under safety car. Will it be recalled at the end of this lap? Lights are still on at this point, so we're approaching the point where it would be clear that we're going to see the Mercedes-AMG GT down pit lane.
This is far from a simple restart, though, for Hayden Chance. He'll be very, very grateful. They've released some cars. Okay, so, well, it's sort of a wave by. What it's doing is right in the field so that
all
at
cars
least
to close the gap to reach the queue of safety car line.
At least the car in behind is the overall race leader rather than those tail enders.
Now, that works very well for the leader of the race. It works far less well for everybody other than third, anything beyond third in JS2R, because the top 3 cars in JS2R are going to effectively get a lap here.
Yeah, which is something that's tried to be avoided in the ELMS, not Le Mans Cup. There is still no way by in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, but also the complex nature of 3 safety cars at the 24 Hours of Le Mans as well, where we have had scenarios where class leaders, down to where the overall leader is, have been sent into massive leads, and that is the case for Marta Garcia and for Antoine Lupesque and for Paul Trajani. All of a sudden they are in this batch who check out from everybody else. So Julien Chel, I mean, he won't care about that. He's won a championship today with his teammate David Cosenel, but he's the first car locked into position in behind Hayden Chance's machine, and he won't get any better than 4th, you wouldn't imagine, unless there's a mistake ahead for those top 3.
All cars to close the gap to reach the cars behind the safety car.
So these 3 JS2Rs being told now to close the gap as much as possible. The reason why the safety car came out, of course, has now been dealt with. So without marshals on track, you are permitted to go at racing speeds to catch up with the tail end of the safety car train. Garcia, Lupesque, Trajani, and there was there not another car?
Yes, 58 car.
58
is the 10th place M Racing JS P4 of Jacques Nicolet.
But Nicolet was ahead of these 3 JS2Rs.
It's 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th.
Yeah. But crucially, he hasn't overtaken any of the JS2Rs to scamper off into the distance. He was ahead anyway.
He was.
And will be a great deal quicker than the GT-derived JS2Rs.
Safety car was instructed to increase the speed.
This is going to be the final lap, I'm sure of that, for the safety car. We're going to be, it's 21 minutes. We're going to be having something over, what, about 18 minutes left in this race when we get back to green. And these cars are pushing to join that queue. I think they're just about going to get there.
Well, not so important now. We have our podium pretty much, as long as none of these cars throw it off the road dramatically. But in which order will they finish in JS2R? Marta wriggling her way to the front. Paul Trajani clearly spent a bit longer in the pit lane, even though they're both silvers and both driving on their own. They only need
6 seconds longer than Marta Garcia and 8 seconds more than Antoine Lupesque.
That's a mystery. That they must have had an issue. Maybe fuel struggled to get to put into the car, or a misstep somewhere else, but there wasn't a driver change. And this will be us getting back to racing action as the safety car checks out. And all of a sudden the speed is governed by Hayden Chance, who was a struggling spectator not too long ago, standing in the garage. Is he now more at home when he is in control of this? With Julien Schell right on his tail.
Attention to the car reaching the queue. They are slow.
Very slow, but not anymore, because Hayden Chance accelerates out of turn 14. So he is gone.
Green flag.
And remember that if you're Geronimo Berriot, you are not allowed to overtake Julien Schell, even though he's not on the same lap as you. No overtaking of any cars until you get to the start-finish line, and they're all getting boxed up behind the sky blue and white JS2 R.
It's the 71 car to watch here. He got the better run of all three, but up the inside, Ian Aguilera, that's a great run. He's going to take that position. He's got the correct line. The 66 car comes back at him, tries to get up the inside, but the Mexican driver has made that stick.
So Geronimo Berriot maybe had little option but to do that, because he had to wait for the line in order to then really hit the loud pedal, and Ian Aguilera, being those couple of meters further back, could react a little more readily to it. Got the opportunity, the slingshot, and down the inside, a terrific overtake. He's done that a few times. Here comes Ben Casey from a long way back as well, in amongst JS2Rs, including no longer Sita Van Merk. She has handed over to August Turbo from Denmark. So a couple of new Danes infiltrating the Ligier European Series. Great to see.
8th place, number 44 car, the Hans Andre Friero, will be getting a drive-through penalty for a breach of safety car procedures. That is going to cost him dearly, because the field is so closely spaced now. Here comes Hayden Chance. What's that gap looking like as we cross the line? 1.7 seconds through the last timing sector. It's Aguilera pushing hard, and this is the point at which Hayden Chance's nerves will be jangling. Can't afford to make an error here, Johnny.
No.
And he can't afford to make an error for two reasons. One, he doesn't want to. He wants to stick with that lead. But any error that sees him off track, the entire field is behind him, and first to sixth could be 5 seconds.
Yes, yes. And that's the new situation that the safety car has provided. A good little overtake from Paul Trajani, as we were chatting about that, at the top of the hill into turn 13 to pick off Antoine Le Pesque. So they switch positions. Chu Ting Chu, who took over the 71 car from James Winslow, dicing now side by side with the 32 of Brandon McCocken. And the Irishman finding his feet in Ligier's nice and early as well. Great that we've got this many new names in for the final round, just, I suppose, testing the water. But therefore, and we know for a fact, there's going to be lots of interest ahead of season 2025 at this level of the ACO rules ladder, if you like. So looking forward to, in a few months' time, the 2025 entry list coming out, because it's going to have strength and depth, we're hoping for. Here's Marta Garcia, no longer with Antoine Le Pesque right behind, but it's her old foe, Paul Trajani. And this is for the lead of JS2R.
16 minutes to go, and it's all up for grabs, isn't it? Ian Aguilera under a second back for the lead of the race to put pressure on the champions-elect at this stage. The 77 car right with Hayden Chance, looking for a way by now.
Yeah, and Hayden Chance will be well aware of the pressure from Ian Aguilera. Again, do you start to think bigger picture? It's only one car to let by, and it does not really change the championship complexion at all. The number one car, should it be overtaken, would still score 18 points. The 77 would get the win, but that wouldn't be enough to do with the points that separate them currently, which is 18. It would only be a swing of 7. Hayden Chance trying to defend from Ian Aguilera. Lets him through effectively, although Aguilera's not great in the middle phase of the corner. So they're going to arrive into turn 3 side by side. Precarious stuff for Hayden Chance. He also needs to be aware of Geronimo Berriot, who is loitering with intent in the number 66 car. And Hayden Chance swinging from left to right, but not entirely at the right points there at 3 and 4, because he got out of his rhythm. Now jinks to the right-hand side in order to outbrake Ian Aguilera. might give up the second place position as well, and I think has done now to Berriot. But still, this is not disastrous. Hayden Chance clinging on to second place as they both arrive into turn 7 together, but now he is in third. That's still 15 points. Yes, a swing of 10, but he currently leads by 18, so that's still enough.
The other point to make clear here is, realistically, in championship terms, you'd have to imagine that they don't have to come to the end of the final lap. Well, they've got to be in 6th, but they could be running in 8th. There are 2 potential cars ahead of them that would likely allow them to take a position. Yeah, in championship terms.
True. Yes, so if they fall behind both Virage cars, then surely Virage will order one to slow up slightly and give the places back again. Now to the high line goes Hayden Chance, and this line has worked over the years through 14 and 15.
Has got him second place over the third of the 66 car, but didn't get him by Ian Aguilera. They're trying to tough it out here, but keep it clean. Don't get on the mucky stuff and see the car spinning off the circuit. We've seen that a number of times, even this weekend. Side by side with the 2 Virage cars. Edgy stuff. Meanwhile, there's going to be a 1 second stop and go for the 4th place car, Monza Garage car of Chun Ting Chu. If that works for anybody, it works for the number 1 car, and that's what can happen if you got the mucky stuff. That is the 3rd of the Team Virage cars. That's Brandon McCorgan.
So Brandon might now not be an option for, if the 1 car drops further back, slowing up to allow the car back in front again. So down towards turn 5 in the shadow of the rotunda, Aguilera and Berriot arrive together. The other situation is that these 2 could trip over one another, as now Berriot goes for a potential move into turn 6. And with Hayden Chance at very close quarters, will he have enough chance to react if these 2 get together ahead of him?
But the problem with Hayden Chance here is other cars are catching because of this battle.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say he's going to fall to 6th, but he could lose positions here.
Yeah, they're not going as fast as they can do because they're embroiled in their own battle. So this is drawing in 4th and 5th and 6th place and 7th place cars as well. And Hayden Chance didn't get a great run out of Portimao sequence of corners, 10 and 11 at the top of the hill. So now snapping at his heels, Chu Ting Show in the number 71.
Edgy moments here. Race leader in JS2 R, Marta Garcia, but she's now with traffic, and it's quick traffic, remember. There may be a lap down, but for the most part, that's because of the timing and position of the safety car. So this is a battle to put laps on the cars ahead, but under pressure from behind from Paul Trajani. It's edgy time for the race leader in JS2R as well. Here comes Trajani up the inside. Can't make that stick, and now he's got to deal with the blue car on his inside. Can't put the toothy grin of his JS2R where he wants to put it this time. Great stuff. 11.5 minutes to go, Johnny.
Yeah, Garcia overcooked 14 a little bit there, ran a tad wide, and that rather opened the door, but nobody was there to take advantage of that. This time, immediately behind Hayden Chance, the 3 cars that are doing the chasing have dropped back a little bit. So Chance is in still 3rd position. Eco Segre jinking from one side of the road to the other in order to throw Chu Ting Show out of his rhythm. And Ben Casely could yet be a nuisance as well in the mind of Hayden Chance. In a large part, most of these drivers get on a storm out of the cars. There's a number of social meetings through each of the weekend. Wednesday night, there were beers in the paddock. I missed those because I didn't get it till yesterday.
They were delicious, by the way.
I bet they were. And I do notice that Elsa Nicolay didn't keep me a stock back. I thought we got on. Anyway, there'll be beer later on in the weekend. Now up the hill between turn 6 and 7 is the chasing Paul Trajani car, number 31. And still in 2nd position, Antoine Lepesque for Le Decisive in that 50 car, running in 3rd. Nothing between the top 2, Ian Aguilera and Geronimo Berriot. Hayden Chance, has he actually just got out of this scrap now?
I think he has.
Eased back a little bit.
There's a gap now back to Hayden Chance, and then behind him a queue of 3 cars, but one of them owes us a pit stop penalty.
And there might be a lead change here, which would be even better from the number one's perspective. Late on the brakes, can Berrio get it stopped though? Yes, he can into turns 1 and 2. And Aguilera could do little about that, apart from maybe charge his way back up.
Oh, he's spun it!
Spin. And where's Hayden Chance? He's avoided it. So he's got through, and that might be the championship decided there and then. Contact and a spin for Ian Aguilera. And my worry then was the track was partly blocked for Hayden Chance. So he's gone down the inside as Aguilera. Yes, there was a touch, or was it a bit of curb in actual fact?
I think it may have been both. To be blunt, still side by side, Trajani here and Martha Garcia. It's these two cars that are battling for the lead. The two cars ahead are indeed that is our 5th and 6th place cars, delayed by that safety car and about to go a lap down if they can make this pace stick. It is the pink car, the toothy grin of the sort of burgundy, metallic burgundy car, and the bright blue car. That's 1, 2, 3. This is 5 and 6 with the 4th place car ahead of them.
Yeah, so this weird scenario really generated by the safety car, in that 5 cars of a similar pace. The pink cars completed almost a full lap more than Cindy Goudet's purple car and the bright yellow of Matteo Pianazzola. But as you've made the point, Garcia's going to really struggle to get around Goudet and keep behind her, Paul Trajani. Here's Trajani trying to thread the eye of the needle. But that's better now, because Cindy Goudet sits between the two of them, and Goudet's a quick car as well.
This is the problem. This is traffic. It's lap traffic, but it's not lap traffic as you know it. There is not a massive pace discrepancy here.
There should still be blue flags being waved in the direction of 53, though, for instance, because that car is now definitely off the lead lap. So tail-enders should not, where they may not, interfere with the battle for the lead of the category. So if they can drive off the racing line and allow that process of overtaking to be more beneficial, then that's precisely what they should do.
So under 8 minutes to go, Johnny. The race is led by the 66 Team Virage car, Geronimo Berrio. 2nd place now, and heading at this point for the championship, Hayden Chance, sharing that car with Teo Makuris. Finally, it looks like Paul Trajani gets by Cindy Goudet. He does. 7.5 minutes to go. Chunting Chu is 3rd, but I think still owes us a drive-through, a stop and hold. Ben Casey is up to 4th, then Nico Segre, and the luckless Ian Aguilera after that contact, we think, and the spin is down to 6th place. So he's where he wants his championship rivals to be, and vice versa.
We had a good lap earlier on by August Turbo, the Dane, to set the fastest lap within the category of JS2R. Easy to overlook the Turbo 86, because that's also a lap down now, or will become a lap down compared to the top 3 that were allowed at free passage when the safety car came out. You and I were a little surprised that a couple of cars were allowed to drive past the safety car, but that was to make the restart cleaner for Ian Aguilera and for Hayden Chance. Hayden Chance principally. Aguilera then subsequently got ahead, but he's made a mistake since then and fallen back to 6th spot. Good fighting between Nico Segre and Ben Casey, 4th and 5th positions. Now a lock-up though for Ben Casey. Well controlled inside the final 7 minutes of this hour-long race then. Car 31, Paul Trajani, being given warning flags for the abuse of track limits, and the 29, Julien Schell, being told that he must respect track limits, as Aguilera and Casey almost overlapping. Late on the brakes went Aguilera there, trying to pick up some of the places lost with that spin, either after contact or a run over the curbs or a bit of both. And that rather put paid to any slim chances that Ian Aguilera might have of taking this year's title in the JS P4s.
Real shame. It's the one mistake I think I've seen him make this afternoon, and it was, I think, just a little bit hair trigger. Had been passed, was looking to get back that, to claw back the disadvantage, and maybe just made the wrong move at the wrong moment.
But for it to go this far into, as there's now a change, this far into the season, and it's still not fully decided, for it to go down to the wire in this final race of the action is testament to a championship built up by Ligier.
Pretty certain, by the way, we are going to see this young man in Aguilera in LMP3, come what may. I think we'll see him take a step next year.
Well, that's exciting as well. There's some talent within these ranks. We've had talent, of course, earlier on in Ligier seasons. Julien Henrion winning the title in 2022. He then went on into the Michelin Le Mans Cup and became a title winner in 2023. And Julien Henrion doing some very special things in the ELMS this season as well. 4 minutes to go. Ico Segre's now under a bit of pressure from Ian Aguilera's number 77 car late in the piece.
Chunting Chu catching, by the way, Hayden Chance here. Just put in his quickest lap of the race. He's about a second back.
So, yeah, 4 seconds is the gap between Geronimo Berrio and Hayden Chance. It's a second back to Chunting Chu, as you say, with his that car's best lap of the race. So quicker than anything James Winslow offered as well.
It's good going.
The top three in JS2 R still in close contention as well. Slightly less close contention, it's fair to say, because Marta Garcia has established herself now in a decent lead, with a back marker sitting between her and Paul Trajani. And it's still Antoine Lepesque for Le Decisive in the number 50 car on course for a podium.
Yeah, not going to be threatened on pace after that. The field was split with the safety car. So we'll about here whether or not Ian Aguilera can get past Ico Segre for 4th place, and can Chunting Chu catch Hayden Chance to grab 2nd place. And he, though, is under investigation. I was correct, not complying with the penalty.
Yeah, and you generally get 3 laps to respond to a penalty like that.
So this could end up with Ian Aguilera being on the podium here. He's going to go around the outside, is he? Of Ico Segre, can he make that stick? He's going to tough it out. It'll be rattling across the curbs. Clears the car ahead, does he? I think he's managed to do that, Johnny. No, he hasn't.
No, Segre keeping him honest on the brakes. And a bit of a biff there as he turned through turn 3. Now he should get it, although off the road Segre takes an advantage, but that was surely breaching track limits as he did so. Segre wanting to finish ahead of his arch rival for much of this season in this final race of the year. But Aguilera is through at turn 5.
So Aguilera up to 4th place. Penalty certainly looming for Chunting Chu. So that would be 3rd place if he's managed to keep this one stick. It is not going to be enough. 2 minutes to go in this race and this season. Geronimo Berrio leads the race by 4.3 seconds, but 2nd place at the moment for the number 1 car. Championship leaders, Hayden Chance, Timo Cruz did his part. Hayden Chance has toughed it out when it must have been nerve-jangling stuff. And this looks at the moment, Johnny, to be enough to get it done.
He'll probably say afterwards it was far more nervy having to stand in the garage and watch it unfold when he's not in the car. As much trust as he will have had in Theo Mercurius' ability, drivers just like to be at the wheel of their car so that they can dictate what happens next, rather than helpless, entirely helpless, standing in the garage and having to sometimes take a walk out of the garage because you just can't bear it anymore. And this has been a long campaign for the Ligier European Cruise. The first race taking place in Barcelona back in April. So 6th-7th month process here, and so often it can go wrong for certain teams. There was an interesting comment a few weeks ago from Tim Harvey of British Touring Car Championship fame, which is that motorsport in general is 90% failure, or 90% not winning. And so many of the teams that have entered in this year's championship, regardless of category, will have to deal with disappointment. But that's what makes the winning and the success even better, when you can actually get there. But it's been a tough day, a trying day, not least because of the delay from earlier on and the red flag, which caused these cars to start their race over an hour late. We are on the final tour, though, now for 66, Geronimo Berrio, who shares with his Colombian teammate Pedro Moreno. But the more crucial car in this context is number 1 of Hayden Chance.
There might be drama to come for the second place car in JS2R under investigation for track limits. Paul Trajani, could that cost him second place?
There's a warning flag.
So warning flag, yeah, as you've mentioned, and that is reiterated by the crew from race control. Geronimo Berrio and Pedro Moreno have had some good results through the course of the year, and the number 66 crew en route to another victory. Out of the final corner at turn 15 and over the line to see the checkered flag first. They've done a big favour, though, to the car that will pop up into sight now, zigzagging his way to the finish line is Hayden Chance, and I'm sure running to the pit wall to celebrate, Theo Mercouris in the number 1 crew for Team Virage, who are the champions in the Ligier European Series for 2024 after a nerve-jangling hour. Well, it didn't quite go to plan initially, but some clever strategy, some pre-race thinking, and knowing where they needed to finish and be happy with just circulating a distance away from any calamity. And the 1 crew, I think on balance, deserving of this title.
For JS2R coming home, and what will be the win here, it's going to be the 85 car. It's another race win for the bright pink colours of Iron Dames and another series and another dame at the wheel. This time, Marta Garcia from Spain via the F1 Academy and into GT racing. And she's been mightily impressive in this car. And it's a clear win here at Portimao on the final race of this season. What next for the Iron Dames? You won't have that long to find out.
Yeah, exciting times for that initiative. Marta winning in Spa earlier on in the season, I think I'm right in saying, as well. So that's the second victory of the year. She wasn't in Mugello, but did get the top spot in the second race, yes, winning by 0.2 of a second from Julien Schell and David Cosenel. So that was a grandstand finish for JS2R's 2 rounds ago.
Cracking season. I think a breakthrough season for the Ligier European Series. That we've got teams, drivers unlocking the code of these cars, and the standard and the quality of driving and racing, Johnny, has been a big step forward this year.
There have been some definite crackers, including at Spa and also here in Portimao as well. Well, after quite some time of patience and wondering when on earth this race would start, it did eventually, about an hour and 20 minutes behind schedule because of a lengthy red flag in one of the earlier sessions. And Theo Mercouris plugged into the number 1 car for an opening stint, whereas he did the second stint earlier in the day. He got a good getaway, but then down the inside would charge Ian Aguilera, his main championship rival. And Aguilera wasted no time at all in forcing his way to the front of 3 Team Virage cars. Then a terrific fight between Marta Garcia and Paul Trajani, generally clean, although at this point there was some hip and shoulder contact there, which she rode the storm, Marta Garcia. However, this bit pushing the bonnet skyward briefly, and then I feared out of the race, but she selected first gear, got out of turn 4 and began the chase on Paul Trajani, and she'd be glad that she did. Side by side again between Ian Aguilera and the number 1 of Theo Mercouris early on in this 60-minute race. But then the cavalry arrived in the colours of Team Virage. The yellow, orange and black cars almost ganging up on Ian Aguilera, and he was helpless to the charging 3 cars that made the places, to the delight of Hayden Chance and Theo Mercouris and their friends and family who've all descended on the Algarve International Circuit. This necessarily didn't help, which was a spin for the 32 car of Mikkel Garde Pedersen. And it didn't go down too well with Hayden Chance either. Contact into turn 3 would bring out a safety car after Andre Vieira struggled to make turn 3. And there was contact with Louis Stern in the number 18 after the restart. And a bit of a wave by. Again, the fighting continued in vengeance as Ben Casely, and in this situation, James Winslow fighting with the 32 car of Brendan McLaughlin, who eventually took that car over from Garda Pedersen. We had driver changes in many of the cars, including the number 1, Mercouris, handing over to Hayden Chance, but Ian Aguilera racing as he's done for a lot of this season as a solo entrant. So the 77 crew rejoining. But all along, the number 1 combination of Mercouris and Chance knew that a top 6 finish would be enough, regardless of where the Dayglow yellow and white car ended up. And then this helped massively. Hayden Chance sneaking through after some contact, maybe, certainly a ride over the curbs for the RLR car of Ian Aguilera, and that would delay him significantly. It was going the way of the number 1 car anyway, and in celebration, Hayden Chance zigzagging his way to the checkered flag, to the trophy that he will enjoy with his teammate Theo Mercouris after a great 2024 season. And Marta Garcia with another victory to add to her tally as well, as we confirm the results.
Confirmed, by the way, with the penalty applied to Chun Ting Chu. That means Ian Aguilera does finish that race 3rd overall. It's a 51-second penalty for the Monza Garage infraction. Marta Garcia confirmed winning from Paul Giorgiani and Antoine Lepescu and Noda Kuna. And that's going to mean at the end of this season, it's just 15 points. 10 points clawed back today by Ian Aguilera. Quite a year.
So, a brilliant season. Once again, the Ligier European Series has really excelled. And if you're looking for the future of stars at Le Mans, stars in the World Endurance Championship, and certainly the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the European Le Mans Series, I would suggest you go no further than here. From Graham Goodwin and Johnny Palmer, hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye for now. A very warm welcome to the Portimao Algarve International Circuit, ladies and gentlemen, because we are raring to go for the European Le Mans Series qualifying. Thank you for sticking with us, because these groups of sessions should have started a little while ago, but with one thing and another, we are somewhat behind the scheduled time. And it's meant quite a busy few hours for Graham Goodwin, who sits there, and me, Johnny Palmer, who sits here. Already a car off track, which is the Grid Motorsport by TF Aston Martin on cold tyres. It's
Martin Berry, because it is, of course, the bronze drivers that take part in these quick-fire 15-minute qualifying sessions. That will be no help at all. So what happened here? See, he just turned in, got the power a little too early, and had to do a little bit of rallycross. No harm, no foul, other than rather filthy set of good years now. 11 cars, Johnny, for this final qualifying session of this inaugural LMGT3 class. And astonishingly, as we come to this session, 9 of the 11 cars mathematically can still be champion. It's a pretty big stretch for 2 or 3 of them.
Sure.
And that number, I'm sure, will come down by the end of the 15 minutes. But yes, that is some season. 9 out of 11 cars. This is the car that leads the championship standings. It doesn't lead the championship points. It's equal on points with the Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin. But by dint of 2 race wins, the last 2 race wins for Kessel Racing, the 57 car in the colours of Car Guy from Japan leads the way.
Because the Valentin Haskell, Casper Stevenson, Derek de Boer, Aston Martin number 59 is yet to win a race, but they're still equal on points with the double race winner last time out. And then you've got the Ricardo Pera, Davide Rigon and Mike Wainwright, 86, GR Racing, Ferrari, and I don't think that's won a race yet either. No, it hasn't. So this amazing scenario where we've got, well, 3 of the top 4 teams, might maybe be 4 of the top 5 teams, and there's not a race win anywhere to be seen, because seemingly some teams have won a race and then just had a nightmare season after that. Case in point, Formula Racing, winning the first round in Barcelona. Their best result after that has been a third, and then kind of nowhere, lower end of the top 10.
We'll talk about nightmares. Look at this car. You'd barely believe that was the same car, would you? Number 60 car from Proton Competition, Claudio Schiavone at the wheel of this car. And if you were watching the Mugello race, you've seen this car reduce pretty much its component parts after a clash with, well, this car,
yes,
the number 85 car from behind Dames. It's, how can I put this? The ownership family is somewhat similar.
Entirely so. There are two Porsches in the entry, and they're run effectively out of the same stable. So yes, but the 60 car, to make the point, is the same chassis as was crashed at Mugello.
I think so,
right.
I believe so. But either way, we're back to fully fledged 11 car field. There is Rahel Fry, Michelle Gatting watching Sarah Bovey, who is about to complete her first flying lap. It's the bronze drivers, as we said, aboard these 11 cars, Johnny. Johnny Lawson, Formula Racing in the 50 cars. Sarah Bovey puts in a 1:43.793, the first car to complete a lap. Derek De Boer in that Racing Spirit Le Mans number 59 car, the car in title contention, equal on points, 64 points in the 59. Johnny Lawson puts in a 1:46.478. Will be driving just with his son Conrad this weekend,
yeah,
with Nick Nielsen on duty with the Ferrari factory team at Imola today, tomorrow, as part of Ferrari's Finale Mondiale, and some spectacular pictorial plans for their Works 499Ps. Martin Berry, we just saw have a bit quick rotation. He's back up to running. This is Derek De Boer in the 59. Takeshi Kimura, we've talked about already. He leads the championship in the 57 car from the Swiss team Kessel Racing. Duncan Cameron, the Spirit of Race 55. Charlie Samani in the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari. Claudio Schiavone mentioned in that 60, the orange and black Porsche. Hiroshi Hamaguchi, we've not yet seen the bright green Iron Lynx Lamborghini. Scott Noble in the JMW Motorsport Ferrari, and completing the field numerically, Mike Wainwright in the black and very orange GR Racing Ferrari. They too in title contention.
There's Rahel Fry again. Very happy to see Sarah Bovey's name appear at the top of the charts early on in the session. A 1:43.7 is the marker set by the Belgian. Derek De Boer 2 seconds adrift, but he's just finding his feet in the early stages of this session and assessing what state the track is in after quite a lot of running already today. And Bovey goes even quicker, 1:42.4, so now 3.5 seconds quicker than De Boer's early effort.
Yeah, putting a marker on this session. Still 9.5 minutes to go though, and Derek De Boer claws back a second and a half of that deficit, now 1.9 seconds back. But Johnny Lawson goes even quicker. It's 1.2 seconds back from Sarah Bovey. So it's Iron Dames, Formula Racing, Racing Spirit Le Mans and Kessel Racing, your top four. And
to take a look back at pole position set already this year, Sarah Bovey had a storming start to her season with 3 out of 3. But then the 63 crew of Hiroshi Hamaguchi had a pole in Spa, and it was the 59 Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin with a very pleasing pole position for Derek De Boer. He was smiling from ear to ear in Italy, having achieved that and extending the championship lead, as was the case at the time. Now, though, beginning this round second, but level on points. So it could be either of those teams that win the title this year, but it could be some others as well.
Well, with what we've seen with incident and drama as well as fantastic racing in this first year of LMGT3, I'm not going to quite say literally anything could happen, but you know what? It pretty much could,
yeah,
and pretty much will.
Within the confines of mathematics, you know, if you're out of it, you're out of it. Sadly, for instance, the 60 Proton Competition crew are not going to win the title, but there are so many that potentially can.
Into the pits after a stellar few laps from Sarah Bovey. It's a 1:42.408. She's carved in stone and basically thrown down the gauntlet to everybody else to have a crack at. Here is Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Derek De Boer also on pit lane. He now sits 4th quickest because Charlie Samani's gone up to 3rd quickest. Johnny Lawson closes the gap again. It's now a second and a tiny bit of change off Sarah Bovey. So good performance here from Johnny Lawson. There is the 59 car up on the Jackson, getting a new set of Goodyears. So Bovey, Lawson, Berry third now. So that's a good recovery there from the other Aston Martin driver. Kimura, Cameron, Samani, De Boer, Wainwright, Hamaguchi, Schiavone and Scott Noble.
And here is Hiroshi Hamaguchi with that pole, as mentioned in Spa-Francorchamps. Sadly, then a non-finish in the race. And sometimes that can be the way of things. Think back to Barcelona with that bizarre retirement for Ryan Dames in April. They'd taken pole position and were storming to a race victory when a component got wedged in the innards of that Porsche for Michelle Gatting as she was about to leave pit road.
Staggering, really, wasn't it? Johnny Lawson on the quick lap as we watched that. That was a 4th place in the order, up from 9th through Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Another improvement from Duncan Cameron as well. Derek De Boer and Sarah Bovey back out into the fray. Takeshi Kimura, meanwhile, lost both of his quick laps and he tumbles back down to 11th for track limits.
Yeah, so snakes and ladders for 1 or 2 out there. If you're on a flyer, make sure you stay between those white lines. And track limits are a lot more important in a qualifying session compared to the lives you're granted in a race. But they are, even in the race, they're per driver. So if Bronze starts the race, then gets out, then back in again, the track limit infringements that starting driver picked up still carry over into future stints. So that's something to be mindful of during the race as well. Here's Claudia Schiavone through that rapid left-hander at turn 12 and up to the top shelf of the Portimao circuit, 13 and 14.
So is this the last we're going to see of the beautiful Burgundy Formula Racing effort? Watch for next steps in Conrad Lawson's career. So Johnny Lawson has enjoyed having this season with his son alongside. Previous GTE champion, of course, in the European Le Mans Series a decade ago, back in the ELMS GT3 era. Lawson currently sitting 2nd place. Here comes Martin Berry in his Grid Motorsport by TF 97 Aston Martin, 4th quickest at the moment, 1.5 seconds off.
And if you're talking about difficult starts to a season's campaign, remember about what happened to the 97 car. They had to get a spare in after writing off the original at Barcelona. Now running 5th in the championship, though, 50 points, and only trailing by 14 to the 2 teams that are level on points at the sharp end. So you can't discount them. And again, the line on the graph is encouraging for the 97 car, with a 2nd place last time out, a couple of 5th place finishes as well in Imola and in Spa.
Duncan Cameron sitting pretty in 3rd place here. That car finished its Mugello race weekend, missing a front corner after a double hit issue with an LMP2 car. Been luckless pretty much this year. Magnet for trouble at times, it seems, the number 55 car.
57 with a couple of laps deleted as well, those at turn 15.
Yeah, climbing back up the order now to Takeshi Kimura, back up to 8th from 11th. Bovey back out and on a warm-up lap. There's some heat back in the Goodyear tyres. Remember, no tyre warmers in any class in the European Le Mans Series. 3 minutes to go, so there's time for improvement here for these drivers. Is there going to be the opportunity to do it? Kessel Racing can make progress. Could they complete an absolutely unique double? Winners of the car they built, the winner of the first ever GT3 race in 2006. Ferrari 430, they built 110 of those cars in the early years of GT3. Can they bookend this era with the first ever LMS GT3 title in the European Le Mans Series? a wholly different Ferrari. The 2006 Ferrari 430, Johnny, pretty much a breathed upon road car.
Yes.
And you look at a 296 GT3 and it's anything but that.
Yeah. Double the power of those old cars.
Easily.
About that, and then some. Here's the 59, co-championship leader at the top of the hill through turns 9 and 10, or 10 and 11, and then this plummet down through 12, and back up the other side for Derek De Boer.
It's a much better lap for Derek De Boer. He's sitting in 7th at the moment, but he can improve and improve dramatically here. Could trouble the first couple of rows with this lap.
Yeah, so 2 PBs, but Charlie Samani's improving as well, and Martin Berry in his number 97 Aston Martin, looking at a second row start for the other Aston in the entry. But how far can the 59 car climb? Have to wait for the line, and he will cross it now. Third fastest for Derek De Boer.
Excellent lap from Derek De Boer. He's looking onwards and upwards in his GT racing career.
Also, Claudio Schiavone with improvement, a 144.961. So that was the slightly ironic applause, perhaps.
I think he shaved a second.
Okay.
I think he shaved a second there. They're pleased with that.
Yeah.
You take... It's all about setting your own targets and beating them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Claudio Schiavone will tell you to your face, I'm not the quickest guy out there, but I do love to race, I do love to run, and I do love to set my own targets and beat them.
But one of the main guys applauding that was Matteo Cressoni, standing in the middle, because he's going to be racing with Claudio this weekend and wants his bronze to be happy, he wants his bronze to be improving all the time. So yes, they were smiling whilst they were applauding, but it was due support. Andrea Piccini in the garage there as well. I noticed Sarah Bovey leapfrogging through turn 1 there, very similar to how Chuting Cho did earlier on in the day in his Ligier JS P4, part of the European Series, and we joked that he might have even been picked up on some air traffic control radar on that situation. Well, Sarah Bovey gave it a good go.
She did.
I'm not sure she got all 4 tyres off the ground.
Track limits, checkered flag out. Who can improve here? There are good laps in underway from Johnny Lawson here. Derek De Boer, their 2nd and 3rd quickest. Also Martin Berry. Is it going to trouble pole? No, it's been an extraordinary gap here. I can't remember the last time we had a lead gap in a qualifying session in a GT class by more than a second. It might still end that way. Derek De Boer 3rd as he crosses the line to complete his session. It's just under a second. Johnny Lawson goes 2nd place, and it's just over a second as Martin Berry snatches 3rd place. And at the moment, it's an all Aston Martin 2nd row.
So on those laps, Hamaguchi improved to 5th, De Boer 4th, Johnny Lawson goes 2nd, and Martin Berry to 3rd. So it was all done very, very late on there.
Still got Duncan Cameron on a pretty good lap here.
Yeah.
And he can improve here.
Wainwright to the pit lane. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Within the space of about 15 seconds, 4 cars all improving. Very typical of a bronze-only session. Waiting for Duncan Cameron then to appear.
He won't improve his track limits, I think, on this lap. Or is it on this lap? No, it's the previous lap.
Yeah, so there's still scope to, if he stays on the racetrack, waiting for the 55 to appear in the next few moments. And over the safety car line he will go. Does he take to the pit road, or does he stay on the racetrack? He does stay on the racetrack, but it's not an improvement as it turns out. 144.6 for Takeshi Kimura in the 57 car, so he will start from 9th place as the just championship leading car. Wow, well, that sets the scene for the start of the race, but it's 4 hours long to complete this season. Nine Dames, Sarah Bovey, the 85 car, 142.408, smidge under a second clear of Johnny Lawson's 50 Formula Racing car. The Porsche Ferrari duel goes into another era. 97 and 59 Grid Motorsport by TF and Racing Spirit Le Mans, Martin Berry and Derek De Boer making it all Aston second row. Let's go down to Steph in the pit lane.
I am joined by Michelle Gatting, co-driver of the number 85 Iron Dames, where your teammate, Sarah Bobby, just put it on pole once more this season, and it's a great way to start this season finale for you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she did amazing. I think we have proven already in practice that the car is very fast, and she just proved it once again. I mean, we have showed it before. It's not at all done yet. I mean, starting P1, it's cool to say, but it doesn't mean anything for tomorrow. So we have to try and see if we can finish up there. But I think for this weekend, we really, really have a strong package, and I hope that things will go our way.
Perfect. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So LMGT3 is done, and we're playing catch-up on the timetable after that long delay for earlier barrier repairs and earlier session, and outrumble the 10 LMP3 cars in this field.
And the winners also from Team Virage number 66, Jerónimo Berrio, Pedro Moreno. Also the team representative on the podium, and we listen to the national anthem of Poland in honor of the winning team. Drivers, you can celebrate now with the champagne and raise your trophies. Also time for the last picture in the podium. And now you have the green light to celebrate with the champagne this final race of the season. And we go to the prize giving for JS P4 AM. Drivers, please get your trophies from the podium. And now we can go to the prize giving of JS P4 AM, and the winners are the team number 58, M Racing with Jacques Nicolet. Also the team representative. Time for the pictures. You can also raise your trophies, please. And green light to celebrate with the champagne if you want. And we move on for JS2 R. And in the third position, team number 50, Les Deux Arbres, Antoine Lepesco, Noé de Cunha. The second position, team number 31, ANS Motorsport, Paul Trojani. And the winner of this second race here at Autódromo Internacional do Algarve, team 85, Iron Dames by M Racing, Marta Garcia. Also the team representative from Iron Dames by M Racing in the podium. And we listen to the national anthem of Italy in honor of the winning team. Drivers, please can raise your trophies for the picture. Photo shoot with the trophies, please. And now you can celebrate with the champagne. Or not. And we go for the podium of JS2R Pro M. First position, team number 29, Pegasus Racing, Julien Schell, David Cosenel. Also the team representative of Pegasus Racing in the podium. Drivers, please raise your trophies for the picture. And now we are ready for the prize giving ceremony for the season, and we start with JS P4 final classification, overall classification, and the winners are team number 1, Team Virage, Theo Mikuric, Aidan Chance. The winning team has a check of 1,000 euros prize money to compete next season in Michelin Le Mans Cup in a Ligier JS P4 Trophies are handled by Frank Tinet, Motorsport Director of Ligier, and Gaël Chouteau, Event Manager of ELMS. A big round of applause for the winning team, JS P4 overall 2024 Ligier European Series. And we go now for the overall JS2 R 2024 Ligier European Series, and the winners are Team 29 Pegasus Racing, Julien Schell, David Cosenel. The winning team gets a check of 100,000 euros in prize money to compete next season in the Ligier European Series with the Ligier JS P4. Trophies once again delivered by Frank Tinet, Motorsport Director of Ligier, and Gaël Chouteau, Event Manager of ELMS. Final season podium also for JS P4 AM, and the winning team is number 16 Pegasus Racing, Yuki Tanaka. Raise your trophy, please, for the final picture of the season. JS P4 AM winners. And now the season podium for JS2 R Pro M. The winners are number 29 Pegasus Racing, Julien Schell, David Cosenel. Also the team representative. And we go to the final podium of the season, JS2 R AM. The winners are number 18, Pegasus Racing, Luis Stern. Also the team representative for Pegasus Racing. And this is the final showdown of the Ligier European Series 2024. Thank you. See you back in 2025.